Hello everyone, this is Breanna Rutter, author of one of my most popular books, The Natural Hair Bible, and founder of howtoblackhair.breannarutter. For these videos, I love to answer the questions that you all send me via email. So if any of you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, check out the description box below for more information. This video is because of an email I received from Ashley. And Ashley emails me to say, why do I think that the Black YouTube community can't get ahead? She says that she sees white channels and they're doing great in numbers and in views. They're getting millions of subscribers. Yet in the Black community, there's a lack of subscribers and of views. So she wants to know why I believe this to be an issue or what's the root cause of this issue. So what I'm going to do, Ashley, is give you 5 points on why I believe that the Black YouTube community cannot get ahead. Point number 1. So Ashley, my very first point that I feel is one of the most obvious points on why it's difficult for Black YouTubers to get ahead in this YouTube space is because literally it comes down to numbers. Here in the US, the population of Black people is only about 15% in comparison to 85% being other ethnicities. I feel that's the core root of why it's so hard for me or for other individuals who are trying their best to get ahead in this YouTube space, is that literally there's only so many numbers of individuals that look like us, that have the same hair as us, or the same types of qualities and the type of content or look that they want to see here on YouTube. So the reason why there's so many white channels that have millions of subscribers is because there are just more white people here in the United States. Now, of course, it's different in other places, but considering the fact that YouTube is predominantly a US-based site or a place where it originated, we're going to have a lot of the core audience being people who are of America. So it's a given that if Black people are of the minority as it goes with population, we're not going to go and exceed as high, especially not right away as it is for white content creators. Point number 2. So my second point is that the content that you do will largely influence the amount of traffic that you will attract to your content. So what I mean by this is that it depends on what you like to produce on YouTube for people to watch. So say for instance, you like to do makeup tutorials. Now, if you just do makeup tutorials, of course, you're going to attract people who predominantly look like you. And if people look like you, you're going to attract about 15% of the viewership because about 85% is of other ethnicities. That's just at a default. Now, if you're doing makeup that can be applied in a way to people who maybe don't have your skin color, then you are widening your reach to people who don't look like you, but who want to learn the techniques and tips and things that you do. But the more you limit down exactly through the lens or the focus of who your content is directed towards, then it's going to greatly limit the amount of attraction that you get. So once again, the reason why a lot of white channels who participate in whichever content they choose seem to take off in larger numbers than here in the Black community is because by default they're reaching a higher pool of people than we are at a 15% reach. Point number 3. So Ashley, my third point is that if you are going to be operating within a niche inside of a niche, that's going to dramatically decrease your reach here on YouTube. So what I mean by a niche is that a niche is something that you are focusing on individually. It's not a broad range of things that you're focusing on, but you're only focusing on one subject or one particular thing, and in this sense, to reach an audience. So a niche could specifically be nail designs. A niche could specifically be makeup tutorials. It could be natural hair tutorials. So what I'm going to do is just play out hypothetically this situation to put into perspective why I believe that the Black hair community has a difficult time growing in large numbers. So first, by default, you have 15% of the American population that's Black. So right off the bat, that's the pool of reach or the pool of individuals that you will appeal most to. Now, say for instance that only half of those individuals actually watch YouTube and they enjoy watching it for content reasons or whatever the case may be. So now let's say you got 8%. So you have 8% of African American viewers that watch YouTube. Now, about half of those by default are women and men. So you have half of them that are women, and that brings you down to 4% of a population reach for here on YouTube, which are content. Now from 4%, say only half of those women actually watch hair tutorials. That's 2%. Now break down 2% from going to natural hair tutorials or specifically relaxed hair tutorials. That means that's anywhere from 1% down to 0.5% of the total 15% of Black African American women who actually watch YouTube tutorials for specifically natural hair. So I hope you get the concept that I'm explaining, is that the more further you go down within a subject matter, the less of a reach that you have. So if you only specifically do natural hair tutorials, you're going to literally have a cap on how many people numbers wise you're going to reach. Now this is a figure ballpark range based on population and based on how many people watch hair tutorials and things of that nature. The figures may be a little higher or a little lower, but it's pretty much right there in the middle as far as putting things in perspective on how many people that you can actually reach. Now, given that 1% or even 0.5% of people who watch natural hair tutorials versus a white channel that just does makeup tutorials, they're definitely going to be able to get more subscribers and more views for the content that they do, instead of an African American vlogger that specifically hyper focuses on natural hair. And this is going to lead me into my next point. Point number 4. So my fourth point that I want to talk about is the fact that if you want to reach a larger audience of people here on YouTube, you have to broaden your scope of content. So for example, I'm going to use makeup. So by default, if you're an African American content creator, you're appealing naturally to 15% of the population here on YouTube. Now, if you're going to be doing makeup, you're going to appeal to a smaller crowd. And then if you're only specifically going to be doing fantasy makeup, you're going to appeal to even a smaller audience. So in order to broaden that, you have to step up from doing fantasy makeup to doing makeup that everyone can appeal to, such as natural makeup looks, such as makeup for prom, makeup for dates, makeup for the workplace, makeup for working out, etc., etc. Now, if you want to go beyond that and appeal to even more people, you have to step outside of makeup so you can appeal to a wider range of audience. So along with makeup, you have to do lifestyle. You have to talk about things that you like to do to stay healthy, ways that you like to work out. And then you can also talk about fashion. So you can do outfit of the days. You can show how to pair old with new. You can show how to thrift shop and look really classy and sexy. You can do a lot of different things and actually step more into different content to become more of a lifestyle channel. If you want to guarantee more success, more numbers, more subscribers, and more of a reach, you have to appeal to as many people as possible. And then even instead of staying within the realm of just appealing to women, appeal to men. Show how you can transform a man's wardrobe, because that's something that's obviously missing from a lot of the content, is that there is no one focusing on being a fashion blogger for men and showing them how they can mix and match different things to pull off different looks. So as long as you broaden your content, you will definitely increase your broad of audience that you will have. But the minute you start to go within a niche inside of a niche and get all the way down to specifically doing a certain type of content, you'll dramatically decrease your rewards that you get from the content that you actually put out within this community. Point number 5. So my final point is something that I feel that we all have to constantly keep at the forefront or remind ourselves of the matter at hand, is that in order for you to be successful, you have to constantly create your own opportunities and never make excuses. Now, me giving a breakdown of why I believe that population has a lot to do with the reach is not an excuse. It's just a given fact that that's how many people are here. That's the percentage of breakdown that it is between ethnicities. But that's not an excuse, because just because you don't look like everyone at once doesn't mean that you can't appeal to everyone at once. Because remember, like I said, you have to broaden the content that you're doing. So I'm going to put it into perspective with another example. Given the fact that there's about 15% of a population of Black people to 85% of other ethnicities, the same is going to trickle down in different forms of life. So for every Black millionaire, there's 7 white millionaires, or you can say a mix of Asian, Hispanic, and so on and so forth. So even in that sense, a lot of people feel as though that there's something holding Black people back, or there's something that's interfering with the success that someone Black here in America can have, when I believe that that's totally false. I believe that you have to open your eyes, you have to look at the situation that's at hand and use what you have to your advantage to get what you want in life. So yes, by default, there are going to be less Black millionaires than there is for other ethnicities, and that's because it's the population thing. $15.85 when it comes to YouTube. Think of it in that way as well. How do you expect to compete with someone who can appeal to most of the YouTube population if you are going to be operating within a niche inside of a niche? So I hope that you can keep all those tips in mind and just really look at it through that light, because it's actually going to make you become more creative, because now you don't have that mental block telling you that, oh, it's because they have white channels. No, first it's a numbers thing, and then it depends on the type of content that you do. So Ashley, I want to thank you for that email. I'm not sure if you're a content creator or just a viewer, but anyhow, I do want to thank you for watching these videos and sending me an email for me to answer. So I also hope that all of you have found this helpful. And as always, you all can comment on anything that I've mentioned and just share your thoughts or even your experiences about what you believe could be another issue, or whether or not all of this made sense for you. So thanks again, and before any of you go, make sure to sign up for my email list so that way you can be automatically entered for giveaways that I do. And also, only there I update you with exclusive content. So until then, I will see all of you in my very next video.